You're listening to Out and About Town Show on 102.7 FM. I was there last week, and I found it very interesting. And how's your company coping with this pandemic and sales and everything?
Well, we've reduced our seating. We had 65 seats inside. We were planning on having 42 seats outside. We're currently running at about 20 seats outside. We're just getting ready to, setting up inside to have seating. We're hoping to get maybe about, 20 to 26 seats inside, but, while maintaining the social distancing. I'm not sure how it's going to be received inside. I mean, we can speculate. On a hot day, I would like to sit inside in air conditioning, but or if it's raining, obviously, I would, like to be able to come inside. But, we're just kind of picking through it. This is our first year open. We opened in December, and we were off to, nice start. We had, great crowds, and January was decent, and February was good, and then, and then things, ground to a halt when the pandemic hit.
Now, what is your experience in building? Now, you own the George, and you did all the construction on the George. Am I correct there?
Yeah, that's right.
How did you get involved with buying the George, and how much? I know it was a historic building. Now, how did you get to actually be involved in that location?
Well, this goes. I've actually owned this building for 20 years. Mm-hmm. I bought it in 2000. When upstairs was still all the rooms, the hotel rooms were still there. The Timothy Street had been burned around 1985, I believe, and it was gutted out. And then that's when this place ceased to, when they stopped renting upstairs. They were using it as a rooming house up until that point. And then, so I converted the space, and I remember being in between the ceilings while we were doing the plumbing. And I remember seeing what was, the old plaster, which had been left from when this place was actually a restaurant. And I'd read some stuff about it at that time. So I found it, pretty interesting, and I always remembered it. And so, when we started to think about doing this, I did some math, and I realized there was some pretty good height here, and it just kind of progressed from there.
Now, what were the major obstacles that face you? I know because of a historic building and the older structure, how much obstacle was in your way of actually reconstructing the place to what the standards are today?
It actually wasn't too much. When you start getting into historical buildings, the first thing is when the groups that are interested in them, they want to preserve what was originally there, if that's possible. So their concern seems to be more on the outsides of the buildings. And since the space that we're in now had already been renovated, I mean, back in 1958, there was a huge renovation here. What was original had been lost. So what was left, they weren't overly concerned with, with what I was proposing. And then the same thing inside. What was left of the old place was falling apart, plaster full of holes, and plus they had lowered the floor, so it was exposed foundation. So when you start getting into that end of it, there is a bit of leniency, or they don't look at it in the same way as if you walked into something and it was all original and in great shape, type of thing. So in that regard, I mean, the Historical Society was decent to deal with. The town was pretty supportive of it, and I mean, they do for redevelopment down here. They do have incentives for people that want to invest in reinvest into their buildings. So, you know, they are helpful in some regards, and then in some other regards, you know, they are also a business, so they, you know, they do try to, you know, get you where they can for you know, charges and such. Yeah.
Some sort of government bureaucracy. Sometimes you got to cut through the red tape.
Well, it's all give and take, I guess. You know, the love and hate thing.
I see here that also at the time the George Hotel was in business, Newmark was pretty well a dry town, was it not? No booze.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. This part of the building and this property from its original build in 1845 has had 5 additions put onto it over the years. This one that we are in now was built in 1910 by the Newmarket Hotel Company, and people had bought shares in this building, and it was a temperance movement. But as we've kind of found out, and Donna, my wife, she you know, got into the history of it quite a bit, and realized that even though it was a temperance movement, they still apparently served beer, but it was under a certain percentage amount, and I think it was around 2.5. So since we make beer, we did a tribute to them, and we have a table beer. It's a light alcohol beer, but great flavor, and we called it temperance. So you know, that was kind of our paying homage to that movement.
And I see here from the information on your website, the property from 1937 to 1965 also serves as a location for great coach lines.
Yeah, that's true. We do have some pictures of it. I was very happy about 3 or 4 years ago. The museum, Elmville Museum, came down, knocked on my door, and they gave me a picture of the west face of the building when there was before one of the additions was made, and there was a big canopy there with some benches, and when the sandwich shop, ice cream shop was there. So I was really happy to get that, because I've never seen a picture of the west side, and this is going back to you know, probably late 30s, early 40s. So it was great to see it. I've asked actually Richard about because he's got a whole like boxes of pictures. If he ever comes across something of the Timothy Street face, I would very much like to see it, because when they built that was the first edition they built was the Timothy Street side, and that was used to be hotel rooms. So you can kind of see where the windows used to be, and then they've changed it over the years. But it would be nice to kind of see what that face used to look like.
Now, when you were doing the excavation and the renovation for your establishment, did you come across anything like Indiana Jones, like lost treasures, or any kind of coins, or any kind of mummified object in that was buried in the wall, or anything like that?
Oh, sure. Well, I mean, throughout the whole process here, we dig up stuff when we're in the basement, because at one time I think there was no concrete down there. So whenever you dig down there, we find mostly bits of broken pottery dishes. We found small glass bottles, small spoons, things like that. We've come across bits of old menu. We've come across bits of old newspaper. One of the most interesting finds we got here was when we were doing upstairs, ripping out the old plaster in the old hotel rooms. A suitcase actually fell on one of the guy's heads as he was pulling the stuff down, and we started going through it, and there was a bunch of letters in there, and there was clothes and correspondence. He worked at a tree farm, and they sold fruit trees, and the letters went back to 1875.
Wow.
And so if you want, if anybody's interested, there was a fellow forget his name, which is embarrassing. I think it's Chris, but he did research on it, on the suitcase, and if you type in the suitcase and the King George, you can actually read the history of it. He researched it, and apparently this fellow was a bit of a rogue. He had a wife and some kids in England, and then he came over here, and then he ended up getting another wife. I'm not sure how that all played out, but he apparently had two lives going on. Yeah, I found it interesting because I did read some of the letters, and it always felt like he was talking to two different people. So when the guy did his research, it was nice to kind of be able to connect those dots.
Now, something tells me, or you told me there with the last time I visited your establishment, that you are getting geared up to make beer there, which is a very unique process, especially where you're located in downtown on Main Street in Newmarket. Yes,
that's right. We actually do make beer here. We've made beer here from the beginning. We have a small system. We brew in house. At any given time, we have 4,000 liters sitting there. When everything closed, I thought, okay, 2 weeks. We weren't set up for takeout. We had just opened. We'd been open about 6 weeks or 9 weeks or something, and so we hadn't established a takeout system yet. And I thought, okay, 2 weeks we'll be down, and then we'll be back at it. And then after the third week, I thought, okay, 1 month we'll be back at it. And then into the fifth week, it was maybe we should consider doing takeout and packaging our beer. So we do package our beer right now in plastic recyclable bottles, which we do right now. We have a canning machine that's coming for the first week of August from the States, and we're excited about that. So we're going to start with 6 of our beers, putting them in cans, and then we'll be adjusting our website somewhat and starting to push the beer end more. But yeah, we make in-house. We sell all our own beer in-house, and we have a couple of guest taps right now. We have a cider on tap, so that's about it. And then go ahead.
So probably about the middle of August, you'll be fully ready to roll out with the cans.
Hopefully by the middle of August, we're planning on having cans that we're going to start putting out there. And as I said, there's several beer apps, craft beer apps, and then we can do posts on Instagram so people can follow us there, and we'll be featuring what we're going to be putting out. We're looking at putting out a couple of sours. We're doing a key lime sour. We're doing a pina colada sour. We're going to be doing, we have our IPA. We're doing a Smash IPA, which is going to be a series. Smash is an acronym for single malt, single hop. So this first edition, we're going to be doing featuring Huel Melon, which is a hop. Then we're also going to be doing a hazy IPA as well. And then we'll also be putting out our Temperance, which is just a great solid beer, and our Urban Renewal, which is our lager ale, our Kolsch, which is also a good solid beer.
So you just mentioned the last beer, Urban Renewal. It's very interesting considering what's going on in downtown Newmarket right now.
Yeah.
How do you see the downtown shaping up? Is everybody going to? Well, I guess everybody's not going to recover from this financial hit, but how do you see, as a business owner and renovator of a established business in Newmarket, how do you see the progress of Main Street coming on?
You know what? Main Street has been here a long time. It's suffered through, the Spanish flu. It's gone through World War I, World War II. It's gone through a lot, and it's still here. Main Street will survive. It's always in transition. The buildings that you see here, not one of them is an original building. Main Street was originally all wood, and it all burned down. And these are the buildings that were built on, on the old ashes, so to speak. And there is a lot of history here. And the thing about Main Street is it's always in transition. It adapts. It does what it needs to do. But Main Street's a great spot. I mean, you come down here on Fridays and Saturdays, and there's people down here. And, we're all trying to, respect the social distancing. But you still get decent crowds. I mean, I miss, obviously I miss the old, like last year, because we had great events. You have the, Canada Day and the Beer Fest and, Pride Parade, busker festivals, the farmers markets, which I wish they would bring back. Yeah, a lot of great events down here.
Well, we're just about out of time, Michael, and I must say I really enjoy your website, thegeorgeonmain.com, to get a little insight of your establishment and a bit of the history of the George Hotel itself.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, like I said, we wanted to, go back to the way things used to be. I mean, this was a hospitality building. It was built for hospitality. This was a restaurant here, and we brought it back to that. They used to brew beer on Main Street around the area before you had, big, beer companies. Everybody made beer. They used to send beer to school with kids because it was better than drinking the water back then, So, we wanted to kind of bring that back where we, make our beer in small batches. You can have it here. We make our, we try to deal with the local farmers for produce. We have a reduced menu now, but we want to bring that, try to build that back up to what it used to be. But that was, we tried to keep in the spirit of that. And I think, people are, when they come in, a lot of people seem to dig what we do, which is great, and we hope they do, and hope they keep coming back.
Well, thanks a lot, and we're just about out of time, Michael. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, and we'll definitely get you back in August when your beer rolls out, and I got to get down there to sample some of them samples.
Yes, you do.
Well, thanks a lot for taking your time to participate on Out and About Town Show, and we'll talk to you very soon.
Super. Thanks, Brad.
Thanks a lot.